We call the Board of Mayor Alderman meeting for Tuesday, July the 23rd to order. I would ask Pastor Johnny Bird with Legacy Church to come forward to the mic, please, and lead us in the opening prayer. I'd ask that you all stand for prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
God, we come to you tonight in humble hearts. Lord, asking that you be with us in the middle of this meeting. Lord, there are decisions that are going to be made tonight that will affect the future of our city and of our citizens for the beyond our lifetime. So, God, I pray for a grace to make great decisions. Lord, I pray that your peace would pass our understanding, God, that we would know what we are supposed to do and we would listen to your wisdom and for your guidance. God, I pray for every man and woman that's represented in this room. God, I pray that you would, by your grace, be with them and, Lord, lead them by your Spirit. God, give us a grace to do what's best for the city so that the city might look more like the kingdom. In Jesus' holy name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, I'd ask that you read the future meetings into the record, please.
Industrial Development Board, August 1st at 7 p.m. Family Assistance Commission, August 5th at 6 p.m. Planning Commission, August 5th at 7 p.m. Beer Board, August 6th at 6 p.m. Bartlett Station Commission, August 7th at 7:30 a.m. Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, August 8th at 6 p.m. City Beautiful Commission, August 8th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'd recognize any scouts if there's any present. I don't believe there's no scouts in the crowd. I'd ask Alderman King, do you have some guests you'd like to recognize?
I do, Mayor Parsons. I have my two grandsons from Montgomery, Alabama, visiting with us for several days, and they've been here almost 2 weeks. And they have a little sister with her, but she's at gymnastics, but I'm glad to have them. They wanted to come and see what I do when I go to Alderman meeting. So their name's Braden and Jetson Rollins. Their dad is a lieutenant colonel in the Air Force.
We're glad to have them. Next, we move to official business of the day. The first item is approval of the minutes. Madam Clerk, will you read item 1 into the record, please?
Minutes of the July 9th, 2024 Board of Mayor and Aldermen regular meeting.
Move we would approve.
Second.
Been properly motioned by Vice Mayor Young and second by Alderman Brad King. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please pass the roll on the board. And the minutes pass unanimous. Next, we move to public hearing. Individuals may have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak, either for or against each item, with a total of 20 minutes for each side. Madam Clerk, will you read item number 1?
Resolution 19-24, resolution approving a special use permit to allow a planned residential development to be located south of New Brownsville Road and west of Spring Tree Drive within the RS-15 single-family residential zoning district.
This is a public hearing. If you wish to speak in favor of Resolution 19-24, please come to the podium at this time. Seeing no one come forward wishing to speak in favor, those who wish to speak in opposition, please come to the podium at this time. Seeing no one coming forward, we will adjourn the public hearing. Now we'll move to unfinished business. Madam Clerk, please read item number 1 of the record.
Resolution 19-24, resolution approving a special use permit to allow a planned residential development to be located south of New Brownsville Road and west of Spring Tree Drive within the RS-15 single-family residential zoning district.
What's the will of the board?
Move we approve.
Been properly motioned by Vice Mayor Young.
Second.
Been properly seconded. Any discussion? Alderman Reeves, you're recognized.
We're away from planning here today.
Yeah, Jack.
I can't see.
Right.
Over there.
And Kim.
See you, Kim.
Oh.
Ms. Taylor, can we get some clarity, just if we could, from the viewpoint of this development? in terms of the way that it conforms to other subdivisions and lot sizes in the same area? Do we feel it's pretty consistent, or what's it look like?
Well, in this particular case, this is a planned development in the RS-15. Typical lots in the RS-15 zoning district are 15,000 square feet or larger, but this is not a regular subdivision. It's a planned development, and we have many planned developments throughout the city of Bartlett. In this particular case, the lot sizes here will range anywhere from around 11,000 to 13,000 square feet, and they will also have reduced setbacks that you would normally not have in a regular RS-15 subdivision. For example, the front yards are normally 50 feet from the road, but in this case it's 20 feet from the road. And there's reduced side yard setbacks, which are 5 feet in this case and normally 12 feet. Reduced rear lots, in this case 20 feet, where normally they're 35 feet. Now this is an 8-lot addition to a previously approved Joyce's Garden planned development, which this board approved in August of 2022, and you approved 42 lots. So this is just an 8-lot addition to that.
That's all I need. Thank you.
Alderman Griffin?
So are these 0-lot homes then?
Oh, you still have side yard, front yard, and rear yard setbacks. They're just smaller.
Do we know what square footage the homes will be? I know we know what size the lots will be. Do we know what size the homes will be?
No, we do not.
Okay. I just was concerned that this would be more of a starter neighborhood that has a lot of churn without the established roots that we look for in a lot of our communities, as opposed to just those starter communities where people move in, move out, and
I understand that, but I believe based on the conversations with the developer, the price point here will not allow for starter type homes.
What is the price point then?
So the price point in Bartlett are in the 400,000s on up.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure that these will be 15,000 square foot starter homes or 1,200 square foot starter homes where you could charge that much, or the price of the home would be that much.
Right. But given the price of homes in Bartlett, it would behoove this developer to price them much lower and make them much smaller so that he could fill those.
That is the possibility.
That was my concern with it.
Yeah, I'm not sure the developer may be here. He's developed other subdivisions in the city. Old Bartlett Village is one of his.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe there's a few other ones. You might want to talk to him.
Great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Most time, Alderman Griffith, the infrastructure cost and those lot costs dictates what size home you'd have to put in there to make it beneficial. Alderman King, do you have a comment?
Ms. Taylor's, the size of the land that's left and the shape of that has a lot to do with having these lot sizes a little smaller. Is that correct?
Correct. This is 3.2 acres that he was able to acquire after another, I believe it was a 2 or 3 lot subdivision. The owners of that property failed to comply with the contractual requirements that the city had. So this particular developer bought the land and decided to make it an addition to his approved Joyce's Garden subdivision.
Yeah. And like David said, the infrastructure costs get so high that you've got to get so much for the lot. And then when the lot gets so expensive, then the price of the house has to reflect that to even come out on it. So on a small like that, it's even usually the square footage price gets up even higher than in the bigger ones.
That's true, yes.
Alderman Quinn?
Yeah, so just to make sure, and I think we talked about this the last time that we voted on this, across the street on the north side of Old Brownsville, that's phase 2, right? And those are conforming.
It's another phase of the subdivision, and they are going to have the normal square footage sizes.
Right, but
yeah.
this one,
which
it's
is
more
the
isolated.
South, yes.
It's more isolated anyway because it's not up against
Correct.
everything else. Okay, thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Just one more thing. I was at the Planning Commission meeting. Maybe you know this, Jack, but is there anything going to happen with the turn lane or anything for both of those? Or because I know Old Brownsville had to be completed first, but I didn't know what was in the planning requirements.
I think that's a question for John Horn.
Sorry. Sorry, John Horn.
What? Where?
Sorry.
John, do you understand the question?
Now, which turn lane are we talking
I'm sorry.
about?
Well, I've had a few comments from people just asking about the congestion there because Old Brownsville wasn't complete at the time that I think this first all came up, and so they were concerned about how people are they're going to cross the street there trying to make a left or turn, and I think that applies for both phases of it. But is there anything in the planning?
Remember if there is a median cut at that location or not. If there's not,
right now it's open, but it's coming down the hill.
Yeah,
So.
if there's not a median cut there for a left-hand lane, that's something that'll have to be taken into consideration in that area as we look at the plans.
Yeah. Okay. So this will come before planning though next. I mean, they'll submit their design. No. Correct. So
Has a master plan been submitted, John?
Master plan. Yeah. You don't have. Sorry. A master plan.
Yes, I mean, this has gone to the Planning Commission already.
So
This new addition has already gone.
yeah, I mean, I've seen the lot cuts, but I'm asking about like what was going to happen on Old Brownsville. I didn't know if that was just being left open because they were still working on Old Brownsville at the time.
Old Brownsville Road has been completed as far as road ready.
Yeah.
And so as far as, I think, Kevin, are you saying, how are people, if they're going westbound on Old Brownsville, going to be able to make a left turn into this section? Is that the question?
Yes, yeah, because now that you don't stop at Ellendale, there's just the traffic.
Yeah,
speed
and I think
picks
there's
up.
a median cut there.
Yeah,
but
there is.
To be honest with you, I don't remember, but if there's not, we'll have to, the
Okay.
contractor, the developer will have to provide one there for a left turn in.
Okay, so there won't be a widening of the road there for
No,
right turns or
that
anything
road
like
is
that?
at full width right now.
Okay.
So.
That's why the large median's there. Planning Commission, there should have been a site plan for y'all to see. I don't know if,
Yeah,
Jackie,
I've
you
seen
remember?
the site plan. I just can't
So if
remember
he's there, you could certainly saw it on the site plan over and overhead.
There was, and part of what we were led to believe in planning, and I believe is accurate, is that there's a lot of people today that want smaller lots with big, nice homes on them because there's more people not interested in spending time taking care of a yard, but still wanted a nice home. And we were led to believe that there were going to be some very nice homes on these lots, even though they were smaller lots. I mean, but there is no guarantee. Planning can't ask what they're asking for a home, or really, I'm not even sure can ask the square footage. Ken Fulmar used to do that all the time, and everybody would tell him to quit. But anyway, that's kind of how it came out of the planning department.
I'm sure we'll get John to get you a site plan tomorrow, Kevin.
Okay. Well, I just can't remember what it looked like because I didn't have all the plans. We don't have all the plans. Thank you. Thanks, John. Sorry for bringing you up.
Jack, did you have any more comments?
No, that's it.
Any other discussion from the board? Madam Clerk, you please place the roll on the Alderman's devices. Resolution 1924 passes. Moving to the consent agenda. There's 5 items on the consent agenda. Any board member can remove any item for a separate discussion if they like. Does any alderman wish to remove any item? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, I'll ask you to read the 5 items on the consent agenda to the record, please.
Item 1, special event permit for Memphis Runners Track Club Road Race Series 5-mile run. Item 2, purchase of refuse truck. Item 3, commercial subdivision contract for Shamali Meat Shop and Grocery. Item 4, debt report 2024 Apple lease. Item 5, approval of revised investment policy.
Move to approve. Second.
Been properly motioned. Discussion. There's no discussion on this consent agenda. And if you would put the roll up for a vote. For the citizens and those watching, yes, a garbage truck costs $426,000. That's not with an employee in it either. Consent agenda passes, unanimous. 6-0. And now we move to new business. Madam Clerk, read item number 1 under new business.
Resolution 27-24, resolution to revise and update the stormwater management plan and program for the city of Bartlett, Tennessee.
At this time, I'd like Mr. John Horn to come back, give an explanation of the updates.
Mayor and Board, this is a resolution, as Penny mentioned, to adopt a revision for our stormwater management plan. As you know, the Clean Water Act through EPA and TDEC requires us as a city to manage our stormwater. Stormwater is any runoff that occurs based on rain into our yards, our streets, our drain pipes, our streams, and the Lusace River in our case. And so our city is considered an MS4, which is a municipal separate stormwater system. So some cities treat their sewer and their stormwater together. We have those separate. And so our stormwater is not treated and is discharged into the streams and creeks. And so we have to manage that. As a part of the FY25 budget, all of you authorized a stormwater fee to help us manage that. I wanted to mention we have two of our staff here, Don Fent, Don, if you'd stand, and David Cook. And Don is our stormwater coordinator. And David, for the last 6 years, has been training to take over for Don. And so Don is going to be retiring in late February, unless y'all can help us talk him out of that. But he has done a tremendous job. Has a lot of respect from our TDEC agencies. Anytime we talk to TDEC, they bring up Don. Thank you guys. And David, like I said, has been training for 6 years to take over this role. And so this stormwater fee helps to cover their salaries, and it's probably at least half of what they do in their jobs. We have two other our construction inspectors that work on this. What do we do as a part of our stormwater plan? Well, the stormwater plan is that 130-page document that I'm sure y'all had a blast reading that entire document, and a couple of pots of coffee to keep you up to do that. But that plan, it covers a number of things. We have to manage the stormwater leaving our construction projects. Probably all of us have gotten a number of phone calls from muddy water or mud leaving a construction site. And so we have to manage that. That begins with the engineers that design it. There are 2 to 3 pages in every set of construction plans just dedicated to erosion control. And we also know not just the muddy water, but mud, but also none of us like excessive rainwater coming through our yard. We don't like flooding. And people notice that. You're discharging too much stormwater across my property because of this development upstream. So we have to manage that in the design and also in the construction. And so that's a part of our construction inspection staff doing that. Some of the other things that we have to do is we have Buckhead Creek, we have Howard Creek, we've got Rayner Creek, we've got Harrington Creek, and the most notorious one these days is Fletcher Creek. And so we are regulated and required to monitor the water quality in those streams, which we want to do that. We want our streams to be clear and beautiful for contaminants. And so on a regular basis, we get testing on those creeks and submit that back to the state. That's all for public record where our citizens can look at that and to verify that we have clean creeks and streams. We also have to respond to what we call illicit discharge. So if Bubba changes his oil on top of a drain inlet and that oil goes into the drainage system, then we get a complaint, we respond to that. And in cases, there's penalties for that. And we are required to respond to, that's called illicit discharge. We also do public education. We have to do public involvement. And so for this particular plan, we actually got comment from a number of citizens who wanted to make comments on this plan. And we have to do training ourselves. Aaron and I, Don and David, and a number of our inspectors have erosion control training that we have to do every number of years. And so this, I believe the last time this plan was updated was 2017. And whenever TDEC makes a change, we will debate with them, negotiate with them, and then when we update our plan, then we're required to make that public record. So that's kind of in a nutshell why we're here tonight. So,
Any questions for John?
I'd like to get a copy of that report if I could.
it was in your packet.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So,
I would like to say thank you, Don, for the work you've done over the years, and it ought to make you feel a little bit good. It takes a guy training 8 years to take your place. So, but anyway, we look forward to David and him taking over that role. And if we think we can ever extend that date out, come see me, and I'll get you a donut and a cup of coffee. So, at this time, would Chair entertain a motion?
Move we approve.
Motion and we had a motion and a second. Okay, great. Any discussion?
Fast second.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fast second. Let's see. So hearing no discussion, Madam Clerk. Resolution 27-24 passes unanimous. And now we move to open discussion. Does anybody on the board have anything they'd like to announce? Seeing no board member wishing to say anything, we had probably 2 meetings ago, something like that. We had a Miss Sanders that come forward. She lived at Bishop Noel Cove. She made some comments about the intersection of Kirby Whitten and Yale, and I'd just like our police chief, Jeff Cox, that kind of analyze those numbers and kind of give us a public report back. Chief Cox, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Board of Aldermen. A few weeks ago, there were some concerns about the intersection of Kirby Whitten and Yale. So we went back and checked the data from January the 1st, 2021 to June 26th, which was the Wednesday after that board meeting. We've had 88 crashes at the intersection of Yale and Kirby Whitten. 26 of those had some type of injury, but we did not have any fatalities in those 3 years. Just to kind of give you an outlook of what that looks like, over those 3 years, we worked 3,987 crashes inside our city limits. And so, as you can see, 88 of those 3,900 crashes occurred at Kirby Whitten and Yale. And out of those 88, 8 of those were hit and run accidents. So, just kind of gives you an overview of what you're looking at that intersection. In the there's not as many accidents that happen at Kirby Whitten and Yale as there is in other places of our city. So, is there any questions?
What's the worst intersection?
I believe that the Stage Road corridor, if you went Stage Bar Boulevard, sees the majority in Stage of Kirby Whitten and 4-way. So those 3 of the biggest intersections are going to have the most accidents if you look at the data. On another hand, we would like to report that our crime index is down 24% in this 6 months as compared to the last 6 months. Also, there's a 41% decrease in property crimes. So your police department's out there working. They're trying to slow people down, and they're trying to make sure that our citizens are safe. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief Cox. Also, I think it was the last meeting before, we had Mr. Clarence Neal that lives on Larch Trail. He had come and had some concerns about a fence, and I'd like for our Director of our Code Enforcement, Trey Arthur, to come and kind of give us an update to let you know what we're trying to do to address those issues.
So good evening, Board and Mayors. Just to let you know, we have been out to that issue that Mr. Neal brought to our attention. We've been out several times, and we've addressed it each time as the ordinance is written. So if it was an instance where it was out of compliance, we've given notice violation. If it was in compliance, we've told them, we've told the neighbor it's in compliance. I believe that the wording of the ordinance doesn't necessarily reflect the intent of the ordinance each time. And with that said, I think it'd be a good time that we started visiting some of these ordinances and started going through some of the ones that might be a little dated, might be written for a different time. That ordinance there was written in 1972 Well, we didn't have as many people that had food trucks in 1972. So with the help of our planning department, we're going to sit down, we're going to visit some of these, see what other municipalities are doing about this, and maybe if we have to redefine some things of what a front yard is and get to the intent of what some of those ordinances were for, like the trailer, like it to be out of sight. So we're going to try and get some things to you in front of you guys to look at to see if we can make this town what it's supposed to be, a nice clean town that everybody wants to move to and raise their family and feel safe in.
Thank you, Mr. Arthur. I had asked Mr. Arthur to get with Tanya to look at the amount of calls that we're receiving and kind of categorize some of those, the main line of those calls, so that we can see if the ordinance needs to reflect the calls that we've got coming in. And so we'll be working, as I told Mr. Neal, that we'll be working with MTask and trying to come up with some solutions to this, and be bringing some ordinance changes to you here going forward here shortly in the next month or so. So thank you, Mr. Arthur. If a citizen completed open discussion form prior to the start of the meeting, they may come forward and state their name and address for the record. You'll have up to 3 minutes, at which time a buzzer will sound, and we'd ask you to please sit down. There's a total time limit of 20 minutes for this. So any citizen wishing to come forward, just fill out the card. Please come forward and state your name and address for the record, please.
I was late. Excuse me. So here's my form. Thank you. My name is Stephanie Muzan. I live in Richland Valley in Bartlett, and we are very concerned about the pond behind our homes. There's rodent. The algae is almost covering all of the pond, and from my understanding, the Bank of Bartlett owns it. And a few years ago, they came and cleaned it. It looked very beautiful, and I think they planted some trees at one of the ends, but we haven't seen anything since. And one end is completely terrible. Something, I don't know what it is. It's really thick-looking dirt that's been down there for years. So we're just wondering, what is the status on getting something done with the pond?
We have been in contact with the Bank of Bartlett for about 6 to 8 months now. We've complied. We've heard a complaint down there and had them address the split rail fence that was going around it. And there was issues with the developer finishing that project. That's why it was given back to the bank. The bank is trying to work on those conditions there, and then I think it'd be turned over to the homeowners association to take care of.
We don't have a homeowners association.
There's supposed to have been one in place, and it hadn't been turned over, if I'm not mistaken.
We never had one.
Well, we're working with the Bank of Bartlett to try to get these additions corrected.
Okay.
So I actually live in that neighborhood, and when I purchased my home in the neighborhood, we were told that we were going to have a homeowners association, and then it never was started. So what she's speaking of, I can attest to that. It's kind of been, the can keeps getting kicked down the road, and that I think we even attempted to start a home owners association, but it just didn't really go anywhere. Even though the builders, I think it was Regency and there was a couple other builders in there when we initially, I had my home built myself. It was stated that would happen and it would come back over to the residents, but it, went anywhere.
Ms. Williams, I think we can go back and look at those covenants and restrictions when the plat was recorded to see if there was one there. Typically, the homeowner associations are not turned over until the developer has completed all of his items, and that's where we're hung up at right there. Yeah. So once we get those items addressed by him, we can go back and look at those covenants and to determine whose responsibility going forward that. But we haven't been able to get the keys yet, you know what I'm saying? Or y'all haven't been able to get the keys yet. Yeah.
May I ask one last question?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that also include them finishing the walkway? There's only one way. It's supposed to be a complete trail.
Ma'am, without looking at the plans, I'm not, but we'll get these answers for you.
Okay.
All right?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come forward?
My name is Joe Tanner. I live at 6880 Sawbriar Cove. I live one block east of this planned Joyce's Gardens. and I was not aware that there was going to be open discussion prior to the vote and everything else. Our concern in our neighborhood is the size of the lots, since they've shrunk, and the size of the houses that they're going to be, and the effect that they're going to have on the value of our homes presently in Rockford, right there at the main entrance there at Rockford. So our concern is and plus I have a concern about the traffic flow also, Kevin, coming in and out since they've opened up Springtree and New Brownsville right there, where that is just an open flow there from Billy Mayer all the way to Kirby Whitten, or Rockford Road right there is just open. Concerned about heavy traffic flow. Will there be another, since this resolution passed, will there be another discussion with the developer to come up with that? Because to me, more questions were raised tonight from you guys as far as the development than what answers came up with. Because there wasn't enough.
Ms. Taylor, can you address where we're at in the process? So this is the final. Will they go before the public?
This is the final. So is a developer, somebody with the developer should have been here tonight to answer those questions too. Because we need to feel better about it in our neighborhood, about more homes coming in that are going to be smaller. Mm-hmm. The lots are going to be smaller, and the effect that they're going to have on the value of our properties.
Yes, sir. That probably should have been asked at the Planning Commission too, because there's a public hearing there. John, did you come forward? You want to make a comment?
I just wanted to answer Kevin's question, if this is an appropriate time. So this particular phase, we were able to pull that up on our phone. And so if you're traveling westbound on the new section of the road, say you go up Kirby Whitten, you make a left, you go through Springtree, there is no median on the new section of the road until about 300 meters down the road. So this new section, this new phase, there's no median there. So there's already basically a left turn lane built in to where you can make a left into that cove for this particular phase. So it's already set up now to be able to receive traffic into this particular phase.
So for this part of the subdivision coming in, that new inlet that was cut in, is that serving that subdivision? Is that the only inlet and outlet for that subdivision?
That's not the only inlet. I wish I could.
Because it's a service road basically that connects to Old Brownsville right there.
I wish we could pull it up. I wish we had the PDF to where we could look at it for you. But like I said, when you go westbound, there is no median on Old Brownsville Road for a while. And so you can make a left turn into this proposed cove very easily without disturbing traffic. There'll be a built-in left turn lane. And then later on, there is a median cut for this other phase of Joyce's Gardens on the south. There's already a median cut there, and they have placed their entrance road right there to where you can make a left and go right in there.
Correct.
So.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. My main concern was just how we're going to be affected in Rockford with the smaller lots and quite frankly, I think they're going to build smaller homes. Smaller lots equal smaller homes, and we're going to be affected. So if we have a median of $400,000 in Bartlett, these are going to be less than that. Trust me.
The last records, I don't think our median is $400,000 in Bartlett. It's substantially less than that, but Ms. Taylor, you want to address that?
Actually, I was going to address another question first. They still have to come in for final and construction plan approval to the Planning Commission. Okay. So there's more to come with these. They have not filed yet. I won't know that until they file.
And this is an 8-lot subdivision.
Yeah, an 8-lot addition to an already approved plan development, which has 42 lots. And at least half of those have the regular size lots. Right. And the thing about the PD is even, I used to work in another neighboring suburban city, and they would come up with these PDs, small lots, but they would put big homes on them. And that's part of the reason why they want 5-foot side yards, so that they can have more buildable area on these smaller lots.
Mayor, Mr. Tanner, we can't ask the question, but you can find out who the developer is, and you can call the developer and ask him what does he think, what size, what price range is going to be, but the law does not let us ask those questions. But it's not uncommon, when I was building and going to subdivision, say, hey, Max Swain, what are you looking at here, and how big you think you're going to be, and where you think you're going to be in this, and what price you're going to be. So as a citizen, you can ask him. We just can't. The law doesn't allow us to ask.
So we can get the name and phone number for that developer.
It's public record.
Public record.
Yeah.
You can call our department.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good.
That answer, and he can answer more questions than we can.
Yeah. Okay. I appreciate it.
And if you give your name with Kim, we'll be glad to let you know when those other meetings are coming up.
Okay. All right. Appreciate
All right.
it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Woodard, 4761 Artie Road. I'd like to say good evening to everyone. And I thank you all for hitting on some of the points that I had questions about. But as the gentleman just said, there are more questions that we have. In fact, we were told that someone from the construction office or wherever would be here tonight to answer questions, and they're not here. And some of these questions we've had before and look like we're going to have after we leave here. And I understand your position. I have one question. Is it anything that you all can do to assure that we won't get a lot of little tiny houses with a whole lot of this, that, and the other to lower our property values as it is now? Because we started off with 18,000 square foot lots. Now we're down to somewhere between, 1,000, 1,300, whatever. So we're going back and forth. Is there any way that the back and forth can kind of stop and we know exactly what he's going to do?
Ma'am, Kim, would you mind answering that question for her?
We're giving you a range of sizes within the new development. Whatever gets approved on the plans, those are the lot sizes. So we're just giving you a general overview of the range of the size of lots in this new phase.
The new phase, the one...
The 8 lot, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then it's a phase 2 also.
There's another phase on the north side of, I believe, of New Brownsville, which has your normal 15,000 square foot and larger lots. So
how many
you've got...
houses is that?
It's about maybe half of the 42, because you already have a section of the smaller lots, and then this is an addition to the smaller lots.
Okay.
And then on that other side, you have the larger lots.
Well, I appreciate that much information. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to getting more, because I love where I live. I want to be here, and I want to be comfortable, because I think we pay the cost to be comfortable. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, if you'd stick around, there'll be 2 individuals down here stay all night with you answering questions if you got them. And I think what you're seeing I'm sorry, ma'am, come forward. And I'll just say this, on a national trend, I think what you're seeing is 20, 30 years ago, you'd see people equated big houses on big lots. And going forward, that's not necessarily true. You drive through Germantown and you see a lot of those 0 lot lines. People are still wanting larger lots on smaller lots, simply because the people don't want all that yard to be able to maintain as much yard, but still have a real nice home. Ma'am?
Hello. My name is Marva Malone, and I live at 6819 Old Brownsville Road, which is at the corner of Artie and Old Brownsville. And I thank everybody for all the questions that they said, because all that was going on in my head. But I want to switch the subject over to drainage, because when you brought it up, I like going for my walks. And when I walk in my little short section of Old Brownsville, I noticed that the drainage area is kind of like messed up. If someone can at least clean it up, or something where the water can flow a little easier, that would be awesome. And one other thing, the little connector road that you all built for us? I appreciate it and everything. It'd be nice to, I thank you all for trying to keep it clean, because people have been dumping.
I noticed that yesterday.
Yes. And also, I'm looking forward to the change of that name of the street that y'all got on the opposite end down there. It's kind of confusing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So, see that young man, Mr. Horn? If you'll just spend some time with him, he can address your drainage issue and some of that area is there. And I let our Public Works know that the other day about picking that up. I don't know why people think they can come down there and throw stuff, bags of trash out right there. But anyway, we keep an eye out for
It's
that.
like they want to go say, oh, this little shortcut, we can just throw out, we can throw a beer bottle out of here, we can throw a can. I have cleaned up my own yard. I'm going, good grief, I cleaned up the other. Oh, that's enough. One other thing, you know the lot that's you all going to build the community on that's connected to part of my old Brownsville? There is some wood, you know, that I guess it's broken down or whatever. And since it doesn't belong to anybody, I guess, you know, it'd be nice for y'all to pick that wood up.
If you would see that man, Mr. Horn, right there again, he can help you with identifying whose wood that is.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody else wish to come forward? You're just going to sit down beside him here, ma'am. Y'all have a long talk. Anybody else wish to come forward? Seeing going once, twice, nobody else wish to come forward, the chair would entertain a motion to adjourn this board meeting.
So moved.
It's been properly seconded. Meeting adjourned.